Hello, it's 1 minute until 3:30, so I'm popping on and seeing just a little bit early um, to hang out with you guys um, and also stop my dog from whining just a moment. So good old Sarge here is probably going to be in and out. My husband's outside. And if I don't have him in here or with the door open, then he's going to whine the whole time. So to save us all that sadness, I decided to let him in. So if you hear any weird background noises, I apologize. That's my dog. Going to just hang out here for a few minutes. I know it's Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all of the people, all of the ladies who are moms in any form or fashion. This morning we had a great video at church about just all of the different types of moms and how we honor them today. And so it was just really sweet. So whatever kind of mom in whatever capacity you are in, congratulations and thank you for all that you do. I am not a mom, and so I know that it requires a ton of sacrifice, and that's part of why I'm not a mom yet. We're just not there. So I applaud you for all the work that you do. So today I'm going to give you a little introduction to branding, and branding is a big deal because it really helps just to clarify a lot of things and helps to get you further faster because it gives you the ability to be consistent in your message and to get yourself out there, which we'll talk all about that in just a little bit. So if you're here, it says one viewer, but that's probably me watching on my other computer, just to make sure that we're not having any crazy technical difficulties. But if you are here, there is a chat box down there. Please say hi and introduce yourself. You can ignore all the messages above that. That's from previous cheerleading webinars. So it may say things in there that aren't really applicable anymore to you. And so I'm going to get started here in a couple of minutes. But if you're here, thank you for taking time out of your Mother's Day, because I know that it's a day full of activity and family, and it's obviously not great planning on my part. I didn't realize that when I set this date that I was planning it for the week of my birthday and the week of Mother's Day. So just a ton of stuff is going on. So I appreciate all of you taking some time and putting in that intentional effort for your business this week and for joining me here. And again, if you're here, be sure to introduce yourself in the chat box. I have my phone here that has the app on there so that I can check it throughout the time so that I'm not signed in here and on that computer and other places. So I will definitely be checking in. I'm going to take a sip of water. So, yes, so, we've got a few people now. That's exciting. Welcome. Be sure you say hi and what you're doing, and tell us what you were doing today for Mother's Day. That's so exciting. We went to lunch with my mother-in-law and all of their family, and that was nice. It was good. And then what else did we do? That was pretty much it. I'm seeing my mom on Tuesday, so we're doing sort of a belated Mother's Day with her and my sisters, and so that'll be really fun. And my sister, who's a mom now, and so the rest of us just have fur babies, and we're happy with that. Okay, so since we're here, if you feel led, introduce yourselves in the chat box. Tell us where you are, and then we'll actually start getting started. So I'm going to put it on screen share really quick. Get us flipped over. And get that really crazy thing right there. go full screen. So today we're talking about branding, and branding is, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, super duper important. I think sometimes we think of just branding as just the visual element, but it's so much more than that. And so we're going to get into all of the details of that today. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about my story because I know that some of you guys are new to me and haven't necessarily been hanging out in my group for the last few weeks or getting to know me in other places. And so I wanted to just tell you a little bit about my story. At heart, I'm a journalist and storyteller. When I was young, all I did was I started my family newspaper. Hi, Julie. Oh, thank you for Happy Mother's Day. Just saw that come through. At heart, I'm a journalist and storyteller. Like I said, I started my family newspaper. It was called The Family Scoop because I just loved telling stories. And I remember even in college when I majored in journalism, and then I just really liked hearing from people and what they were all about and their hearts for different things and their passions. And I've just always wanted to help people tell their story and be successful. And in that way, I ventured into PR for a little bit. I actually worked for the Department of Marketing Communications for my university for a couple of years. And in that, I did a lot of press releases and a lot of writing and just getting to know what it takes to get things into newspapers and all of that good stuff. And then after I graduated, I actually did cheer coaching for a couple of years, did a little bit of grad school in and out. So had a couple of just kind of fun years, got married, just adjusted a lot. And then we went through a lot of like some difficult times with our, with finances. My husband lost his job. And so I applied for everything that I possibly could and ended up at this nonprofit where I started just part-time to help them with printing things, to make sure the colors turned out okay, to do some simple little things that, or little design projects and a little bit of writing, not a lot. Since then, that was 5 years ago. Since then, I've now I sort of took on different responsibilities, became the copywriter for them for a long time, and for 2 or 3 years, I guess. And there I wrote all of the copy that came out from corporate of the nonprofit. So any press releases, any mailers that we sent, the whole website I redid when we went through the rebrand, rewrote the whole thing, any newsletters and appeal letters and all of that stuff that you get from nonprofits. Those were all the types of things that I wrote, as well as some proposals and stuff like that. And a couple of years ago, I actually took on the role of marketing manager. So now I'm still there currently for a little while, and I actually manage the marketing team, which means I create the communication strategies behind all the communications as far as frequency and timing and themes and what goes into that, and then also do all the editing and make sure that the look matches the feel of the piece and the brand that we have. So I even manage a talented team of people who do copy, design, and web properties. And so it's just a really awesome place to be connected with people who love Jesus and work with them to see things succeed. So a couple of things that I've done with them specifically is that I did walk through the rebranding process with them. So we hired an outside company, but walking with them through that and helping to make sure that it did in fact reflect the DNA of our organization was really important. So that was something that we were very intentional about. I also created their social media strategy from scratch. Before I got there, we were basically just posting a few times a day, no real rhyme or reason to it, very much as though if it was sort of your personal account, that's kind of what we were doing. And so we actually took it and decided to be strategic and grew it, and even have converted some of those people into email subscribers and donors since then. And then I also create the communication strategies that I say that raise Boku bucks every year. And that just means like the last 3 three and a half, we've been engaged in a fundraising campaign to raise $35 million to support our 5-year vision to get the gospel to 120 million people. And that requires a lot of communication to go into that. So not only creating communication strategies for communications to major donors or potential major donors and proposals, but also presentations and continued appeal letters and newsletters, all those things, reports that keep people in line, but also events. A lot of my responsibility is around making the messaging of events appropriate and outlining talking points and making sure that we hit all of the right notes. And most recently, just a couple of weeks ago, you might have noticed on April 23rd, we had an event, and our goal was to meet our match of $250,000 that night. That night we raised $207,000, and we within the week we completed the match. So with very little follow-up, we were actually able to meet the match, and now have exceeded it. And a lot of that is credited to obviously the Holy Spirit doing his work and bringing people to be a part of what he's doing around the world, but also to communication strategies and what that takes. And so that's why it's important to make sure that your communication is consistent and strategic. Oh, sorry, Katya. I'm glad you were able to get on. I did see one person coming on and off, so that may have been you. Welcome. So after that event, that's just a little bit about my work history. As far as the jobs that I have. A few years ago, I actually launched my first business. I guess that's kind of an overstatement. At first, I launched a blog. That was kind of all I wanted to do, was blog and help, maybe turn it into some kind of online magazine or something. I wasn't really sure where I was going with it. And then 2 years ago, I decided to make it a business. And so I took a couple of courses, got really strategic, looked up everything I could, started building an email list. So within a few months, I was able to build it to 150 people. And actually at that point, I launched my first product. I surveyed them, figured out what they wanted to learn about, put it together, or at least outlined it. I actually sold it before I even built the product. I just sort of outlined it. And out of 150 people, 12 of them, so it was almost 10%, 12 of them signed on for my product. And that product actually still exists. I've got version 2.0 out there now, and I'm actually doing 3.0 this year. So in a couple of weeks, I'm filming more to add to that. And that's kind of been a passive income stream for me. It's kind of a misnomer, because anybody who has passive income knows that it's not totally passive. But really, with that business, I basically maintain my communication and do a couple of pitches every year, or even once a month-ish, with webinars and things like that, to keep it fresh and keep it bringing in more people, growing new community, new products, new customers, in order to keep the business alive. So I actually maybe devote about 10 hours a month to that business. This one definitely takes up a lot more of my time with that business, and I make, $1,500 to $2,500 a month with that business, doing very, very little, which is kind of nice. It's nice. It's like having another part-time job. And so it continues to grow each year. Now I've got 4,000 people on that email list, and over 250 of them are actually customers now. At least in Stunt School, which is that product, I've also released an ebook, and then I do custom choreography that I have people sign up for each year. And then I also am probably launching a membership site next year. So lots of fun things coming there to just create new things. And a lot of that's through the power of communication. Like I try to keep content updated. I connect in email every week, and then do things like this to teach and create visibility and authority. And it's funny, I actually just did a reader survey, and it actually revealed that they want more email from me, which is kind of crazy to me. So I may bump up a little bit of my content for them, so that I stay in their inbox, but also help them with their job, which is really fun. So that's a little bit about those businesses and where I am there. But this year, God just did something in my heart. He gave me a burden and an idea. A burden for, I've just been really, really hit in the world with how there are a lot of worldviews in the entrepreneurial world, but very, very little do you hear it approached from a Christian perspective. At least I wasn't seeing it anywhere, and I was getting really frustrated with not seeing it in places and wanted it to be something that was out there, but I didn't feel qualified to do it. I mean, raise your hand if that's ever happened to you. But he did give me an idea, a seed of an idea, and so I put it out in there and sort of launched this business a little bit, just like a little baby launch in, I don't know, late January, I guess, to work with other entrepreneurs to build their foundation for a lasting business. So I know that the business I have that's working now, or the cheerleading business that I have, is going to last for a while because the need is always there. I continue to be able to grow it. And so I've really established systems and strategies to keep that growing as long as I'm in it and paying attention. And so this one was fun because it uses those same gifts and passions. So things like teaching and connecting and helping and really equipping women, with also my passion for business and creating freedom in your life to do the things that you love, and connecting with women is one of my things. And so it was really fun to launch it and then to see immediate momentum. My very first week, I had 3 scholarship clients sign up. I created some little packages, put them up on a website, and said, hey, I'm taking scholarship people. So actually 5 people applied, and I took 3 of those people just to work with them to see if I even liked doing this, if I was good at it. And so that was just really fun. So even though they didn't pay for my services, I was getting a benefit, and so were they. Since then, I've had increasing visibility, a growing community, and a growing business. As you guys are a testament to, you're part of my community, and so all of this is just, it's continuing to snowball, and it's kind of crazy, but I'm just really grateful for it. So that's why I'm here helping you guys. And also I wanted to share how I was able to build that momentum. I believe it's reproducible marketing and business skills. So I just took the same principles that I applied to my old business, even though I apply them differently in this business because I have a different audience and different, things that I'm doing. I'm able to take those and apply them to this and create that foundation that's going to help this continue to gain momentum and to help other people do the same thing. I also invested in my own coach to keep me focused and in the right mindset. As a coach, I knew I would need a coach and that I'd want one. And I also just found that mindset was one of the biggest things that I struggled with because I knew the business side, but I needed the mindset desperately. So I hired someone to help me with that. And it's been incredibly helpful. The third thing is consistent right action. So have you ever heard the saying, a long walk in the same direction, long obedience in the same direction? That's the saying. And that's really what I focus on doing here, is that I created consistent right action. I knew the actions that I needed to take, and I just keep taking them day after day after day. So whether that's creating a community or interacting in other people's communities and continuing to put out content and send emails and connect with people, all of those things are the right actions that I'm taking consistently to build my brand. And lastly, it's knowing and living my brand. I believe because I sort of created a foundation for myself of a brand immediately, that when I did put myself out there, it became more and more it became recognizable as I went, so that people were able to connect and see me over and over because I was being consistent. And so that's why I think branding is super important, and that's why I'm using it here. And telling you guys about it, because I feel like it's one huge way to gain momentum early in your business. So what we're going to learn today is why you need a brand, and what the parts of a brand are, and then how you can use that to set yourself apart in a crowded market. So let me take a sip of water and we'll get started. I'm going to make sure I'm not missing any messages. Cool. Okay, so why do you need a brand? I don't know about you, but I know that when I wake up in the morning, I am inundated with messages about different brands, different things, completely distracted. I wake up, roll over in my bed, grab my phone, check my email. So I'm getting emails from brands overnight. Then I check social media, and so I'm getting things from social media. I'll listen to podcasts in the morning or watch the news. All those things include commercials and brand messages. On my way to work, I listen to podcasts or the radio and get advertisements. We're on our phones constantly, so we see different things in our Facebook feeds or Twitter feeds or the different apps that we use. All of them have commercials or advertisements. And so it's just, we live in a time of increasing distraction. So from the time we get up to the time we go to bed, we are distracted people. And so you need a brand because you're competing against all of those messages. We hear hundreds of thousands of messages a day, and you're being one of them in your ideal client's world. And so you need to make sure that you offer something special, something unique, and you do it consistently. So when they recognize it and it connects with them, they know where to go. I know that if I want an Egg McMuffin in the morning, that I need to go to McDonald's. I know that if I want to go clothes shopping, I'm probably going to go to Target. All these things, I've now got brand loyalty to different things because they've got a clear message and connect, and they have all the parts of a good brand, which we'll get into. So what exactly is a brand? A brand has 3 different parts. It contains a message, which is what we've been working a lot on our messaging this week. It's got personality, which we'll talk about in here. I'll break some of that down. And it's the lifestyle. So it's the person who you are and the results that your brand is delivering. And it sets you apart. A brand is a thing that sets you apart in life. And I like to think of God as the first brand strategist. So what you see here is just a lot of words from the book of Leviticus, just kidding. When God set apart the Israelites, he gave them specific guidelines to live by so that they would be set apart. He essentially gave them a brand as his people with all these different things. And so when people saw Israelites in different places or heard them coming or saw them walking, they knew who they were easily because they had a message of who their one true God was. They had the lifestyle that they were living that he had given, and they had the personality of the behaviors that he had given them. So all of that, he was the first branding guy, right? And even his disciples today, he says, you will know them by their love. And so he's already given us different things that we're known by as his people. And so we then can take those same kinds of principles and apply them to ourselves and our businesses through branding. So let's first talk about the message. These are the things that we've been talking about this week and even working through so that we had clear messages that are consistent. And this really starts with being clear on who you serve, who your client is, who is the person that you are helping to get results. And for this, everyone's got their own. So we worked on our dream client story. So that helps you get really clear on who you're talking to so that you can create the right messages. Second, we have a clear mission, what we're helping them to do, how we help them get the results, right? So who you help, how you're helping them do it. And third, and the big picture of what you're doing. So your mission isn't just to help the one person, right? It's to help them so they help others. It becomes a new big shift, a change in the way that they approach the world, and a different world that you're creating through what you do. And that brings us to the brand promise. This is what you are telling them that you will deliver on. So that's all those things in your one-liner, in your mission statement, in all those things that we've worked on, even your website copy, the sales pages, the opt-ins. You're giving them a promise of what working with you will bring them in their lives. And then lastly, it needs to be consistent. So once you have all these things worked out, you put them consistently out there the same every single time so that people are clear on what you do. When they say, oh, I need to talk to the piano lady, that's going to be Julie, right? Or to Katya, who helps parents, find their voice. Like, I know that about you now because I heard you telling your consistent message all week long, or in weeks before. And so you know that if you want help with your business, that I'm here for you. And so it's all about consistency in what you say, what you promise, and who you talk to. So that's a big part of creating an epic brand, is to create a message that is clear and compelling and that connects with your ideal customer. So that's part one. So that's what we've really been working out this whole week, is figuring out what our message is. And it's super important. And then after that, we have personality. So we're going to break down some of these things in a minute. The archetype and the visuals we'll talk about in a little bit more depth, but personality also extends to things like the tone and voice of your brand. So there are some brands that are like super light and fun and funny, right? And then there's brands that are serious and dark or take themselves really, really seriously. And there's a lot of brands in the middle, but you'll notice now when you look at ads, just the different sort of tones that they have that communicate the brand. I'm trying to think of specific examples. I should have brought some with me. But like a newspaper brand is probably very, very serious. There are some magazines that can be funny. Television stations that are funny. There's lots of just like light. There's lots of different types of brand voices. And even we talked about this a little bit with the lesson today, going back and editing for your voice, that it's just authentic, that it's you. You're the guide and you're doing it in your specific and special way. So making sure that you do that. Lastly is your values. These don't have to be stated explicitly, but they certainly can be. Doesn't hurt to be extra clear about them. But the things that you hold true in your in the way that you approach your business and in approaching helping other people with their businesses. So keeping the values at the back end. So when they think of who you are and what you do, that it's clear to them, sort of, even if you're not saying it, but in their mind, they're associating you with those specific values. Like for me, it's about integrity. It's about practicality, because I don't believe in wasting your time, and I don't believe in giving you a ton of theory. Obviously, theory is helpful because it helps you create strategy that works for you, but then putting it in practical things. I don't like theory without practicality. And then action and accountability. These are all things that I try now, and even as I go on, to continue to communicate with what I put out there. So let's break down a couple of these other things, like archetype. There are about 12 different, like, just natural archetypes that seem to happen, whether it's in stories or just in the world. So what you see here is a little graphic with the 12 different archetypes. So around the very edge with just the white, you see like innocent, creator, sage, ruler, explorer, lover, hero. All of those are the archetype names. That's what they're called. The middle circle that has like safety, innovation, understanding, control, those are the desires of that specific archetype. So if you're like me, I'm a sage, and I desire understanding. I want to understand everything, and I do that. And so I help the world by yearning for paradise, in the sense that I seek understanding so that I can help make the world a better place. So say for a creator, they want to provide structure to the world, or they do provide structure to the world, and their core desire is innovation. So they want to be people who are creating, and by creating, they provide structure to the world. And a jester wants to connect with people, or they do connect with people, and their core desire is enjoyment. So they connect with others through being funny and being, relaxed and all of that. So when you look at this, you might be able to see kind of where you fit by like what's your core desire. And then you start to see how your brand then can communicate personality-wise. So I know that as someone who seeks understanding, I'm probably going to try to help other people understand, so that they can have that same understanding that I do. And so that's really how I work in my business. And I think that works well online, but I think all of these things could work well online. You just have to play into your strengths. So you want to be authentic to the person that you are so that your business feels right to you, that it's fun to run your business, but it's also connecting with people very genuinely. You don't want to try to connect with people in a non-genuine way. And so you definitely want to do that. Use that. And then, so that's archetype. There are lots of, there are brand archetype like quizzes out there. You can just Google it and find one, answer some questions, and you kind of figure out what your personality is. And it might be able to help you sort of approach your specific audience in the right way. I think there's someone, Brand Alchemy, something like that I actually took their quiz, and that's how I ended up finding out that I was a sage specifically. But I think if I had read descriptions of all these, that I would have picked myself out as a sage pretty easily. That kind of tends to be what I end up getting most places. Then we have visuals. So visuals is another big part of a brand. And that's probably what you immediately associate with branding is visuals. You like to, when we think of branding, we think of logos, we think of specific colors, we think of all of those things that come to us when it comes to branding. But branding is really all of those things, all the things that we've been talking about. But there are visuals that play into what a brand is. So there are ways to create a brand or to complement your brand through visuals. So fonts, picking fonts that fit your audience and your brand style. So I did this right away. Once I decided who I was working with and what I was looking for, I picked all of these things so that I could go ahead and start putting out consistent look and message for things that I was working on. It evolved a little bit, but I think even if you were to look back to when I started in January, you would see common through lines. So fonts. When you're doing fonts, you really only want to pick 2, maybe 3. One for like headings, or like that's a big bold one for like body text and regular things or subtitles, and then like an accent one. And you'll be able to use these, on your website and on your graphics. So whatever you do, you want them to be the same all the time. You may feel bored using those same ones, but it creates just consistency, and honestly, it creates comfort and trust to see that you have the same stuff over and over again, because then they recognize who you are, what you're doing, and instantly see, like when you scroll through a news feed and you see a photo that looks like a photo that I would put out, you probably know that it's me immediately, and maybe you read the post or maybe you don't. Some people might avoid mine. I don't know. So that it's just one of those things that can help. Colors, that's another thing. You want to pick like 2 main colors and an accent color. You could have a secondary palette as well. Like for my other business, for my cheerleading business, I've got 2 main colors and then like 3 or 4 accent colors, because I like to rotate through a bunch of different colors for that one, because it's kind of a brighter, bolder brand with a little bit like with sort of a fun young audience. But I also have, like for this one, I've got my main colors, the blue and the pink, with white and gold as accents. And so I just use those every now and then, but I try to keep everything in the blue, white, pink, that, the same blue that's on this slide. It's kind of a dark teal, the peacock blue looking. Logo. This can be super simple. Like mine is actually just 2 words that I put together, and I put an arrow around it because that's personal to me and I wanted it to be a part of it. I know that it's kind of cheesy and girly, but I loved it and it means a lot for me in this particular business. So really what I did for logo is I looked at a lot of other coaches and saw, and even like popular ones, and saw sort of what theirs were. And a lot of times it's just a word mark of some kind. Usually had 2 different fonts, one really like strong and bold, simple sans serif font, and one scripty. And so I did the same thing. Not to blend in, but to look like part of the industry standard. So I obviously picked my colors, picked my fonts that I wanted to work with, but made it to where I was within sort of industry norms, industry guidelines, because again, that creates trust. And lastly is imagery. So using the same consistent type of imagery. If you see my posts on Facebook, you'll see like those same quote card colors, always the same. You'll see that same picture that I use that's in my profile that I also post when I post stories. And you'll see the same type of thing when I'm giving tips. So all of it is about imagery and consistency. So having just sort of a couple of these things picked out and in your brain as you move forward with your branding really, really helps to, again, create that trust, because you're being consistent and it doesn't look like you're still trying to figure it out. Especially when you're in a business like mine, which is business coaching, I need to have those things figured out early so that I can help you create those things for yourself. So the last part of being a brand or being a strong brand is about the lifestyle piece. And this really is the integrity part of the brand. There are lots of people out there. We've seen the talk of scammers and things like that on Facebook and different places. And really that comes down to the lifestyle piece. They are diminishing their brand because they're not doing what they're saying. So really the lifestyle piece comes down to, do you do what you say? Do you have integrity? When you say you can achieve work with people for this, are you doing it? Are you showing up for your appointments? Are you showing up every day? All of those different things become part of your brand. Secondly, does it fit in your authentic gifts and skills and style? You want to be authentic, again, to your voice, to your tone, to your style, to the way people are going to work with you, but also to your gifts and your skills. These are things that you need to incorporate or think about, at least when you create your brand, and the tone and what you work on and the products you create, and how you help people achieve those results that you want. Like for me, I know that communication is my #1 thing. I also know it's super important to online business, but I also know online business. So I know that I can focus on communication pieces specifically and help people create that, but I can also help with the business piece. So that's why I have business mentor and communication strategist as my title, because I can do both of those things. So if you need help with business, I can do that. Or if you just want help planning a launch, I can do that too. So helping you figure out where your authentic gifts and skills come in. So as far as like gifts, I'm a teacher, I'm a connector and a discipler. All of those things helped me come down to even just this, deciding to start this business, just hearing God's call and seeing the way that He created me and the skills and the knowledge that I have that created the lifestyle piece that drove this business together. And lastly, do your results match your message? So there's a lot of people out there that will say, I can help you get, 10K every month, or build, reach 6 figures this year. And maybe that's true, and that's awesome. So they just need to make sure that their results match their message. And if they do because you see testimonials from people. Or you reach out to their customers, or you just see them showing up consistently and not running away once something happens or they get somebody's money and they disappear. So making sure that your results match your message, and so that everything in your life is consistent with the promise that you're making to people. So that's really what a brand is. It is the message, the personality, and the lifestyle that you put together. All three of these elements work together to help you stand out in a crowded marketplace. It helps you to be different, to set yourself apart. So before we move on to the next little bit, because I've got, well, actually, I'll go ahead and go through this and I'll take questions at the end. So all of this is to help you set yourself apart in the marketplace. And that's really what you should need to do, is set yourself apart, because there's probably a lot of people who do the same thing that you do. Maybe you haven't found them, but they do it. And so I've actually put together a 90-minute intensive to help you do a strategic branding brainstorm, and specifically around the message piece, the rest of the message piece. So to really help you come up with clear and compelling communication. So this 90 minutes will be focused on getting ultra clarity on your message. So taking all those things that we've been working on this week and actually getting super clear, refining them, and making sure that you're comfortable and you feel good in them. Second, learning how to turn that clarity into clients or customers. So creating the actual sales funnel that will help take people from aware to purchasing, with all of that like consideration and preference and then purchasing, to work them through your funnel to build them up enough to turn them into clients or customers. So we'll think through that funnel and help build out those different parts. And then we'll talk about how to start filling it with your optimized freebie or whatever it is that we want to work on. So we talked about the opt-in that you were working on. We'll take that opt-in, we'll make sure that it fits well within our funnel, and we'll optimize it so that it's set up to set you up to be the solution to their biggest problem. And then we'll create a communication and content strategy that connects with your dream clients. So this means we'll take then that sales funnel and build out the communication around it to get the general outline so that you can actually work on those communication pieces. We'll also work on the basics of a content strategy so that you know what you should be talking about in every arena, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or your email and your blog posts, all so that you can start building out the messaging that really connects with your clients. And the best part is that it's tailor-made for your business and your audience. So I won't just be giving you how I've done it. I'll actually be helping you think through your offers, your sales funnel, and your audience. This works well because I know that the strategies that I'm creating now are similar in principle, but different in the amount of communication and the way I communicate between my two different businesses. And so just even having had to do that a couple of times, I really believe that this is something I can help you with. And it's just $197 for 90 minutes of just laser-focused, tailor-made communication strategy for you. And I've got 5 spots open for May. So why should you do this? Why is this of value? First of all, I happen to believe that I'm an epic brainstorm partner. And I call myself an in-the-box creative, your box to be exact. So one of my, I believe it's a gift, is even just having conversations with people and thinking, talking things out, or even just listening. And then the way I'm able to process things and come up with good answers. And maybe or just unique things, new ideas that work well. And so I do that. Even if we don't come to it in our 90 minutes together, I will send you emails if I get a new idea, and I tend to do that. So I also call myself an in-the-box creative because I love working within those constraints. There's a lot of people who don't like any of the constraints and don't need all the boundaries, and they just come up with these amazing ideas. My brain actually works better with the constraints of audience and business and all those things in mind. I have the way my brain processes, all the things just work better for me. Second, we'll focus on your specific sales funnel and how to get people into it. So we'll create a sales funnel and create the communication around it, and then start getting people in there. And it's all going to be specific to you. Then I'll help you with all the techie bits that might trip you up. So if you're not sure how to even post a blog on a WordPress site, or how to set up an autoresponder either that day or shortly after, I will give you videos or tutorials on how to set up those things. Next, I've made a living on communication strategy. It's literally my job. I get paid to do it. And also, I love it. I've just always had a passion for communication and helping people connect dots from A to Z. Next, I normally save these goodies for long-term clients. Most people don't get in my brain for communication unless you work with me as a long-term client. So this is a great way to sort of get access to that in a way that you might be wanting or needing, so that without opting into a long-term package if you're not ready for that. And then lastly, you've seen what I can do. You've seen how I work, how I process, how I help people with communication all throughout this whole challenge. That's what I've been trying to do. And that's where I feel like I really shine and can be a part of your business and helping you to shine in your business. But the offer expires soon, and here's why. My June schedule is incredibly limited. I'm actually going to be out of the country for 2.5 weeks. So I'm saving the time slots that I do have in June for my long-term clients. So I'm going to have this open till until the 5 spots are full, or until May 13th, because then after that, I just can't do it. I don't have the time or bandwidth, or you'll be waiting until July. So if you want to start working through your communication strategy, now's the time. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till July or become a long-term client, which would also be awesome. So if you're interested in this, email me today at kate@kateboyd.me to let me know, and we'll set up a call, or I'll send you the link, whatever that looks like. If you have more questions about it, please do that, because I want to make sure that you get your communication off on the right foot. And here's the thing. I believe that communication is the core of a good business. And even if you look at all the business advice online, half of it focuses on communication, putting together good newsletters, building your list, and marketing well. All of those pieces are communication pieces, and that's such a huge part. So your brand really relies on the message that you're putting out there. So I want to help you build that message so that it's clear and gets you visible and consistent all the time. So that's what we have for today's webinar. And I'm now going to take questions if you guys have any, if you're still around. Want to make sure that I get to the different things that you guys might have on your mind. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it off of there. Turn it to where you see me in my afternoon glory with my top knot that I'm going to take down because I've got a bit of a headache now. So if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat box. I'm going to be here for a few more minutes to talk through these different things. So feel free to let me know. I'm going to take a drink out of my Cowboys cup and wait to hear from you guys. Gonna look for my other chat box, make sure that I don't miss anything as it pops up. Here we go. So I hope that you guys learned a good amount about branding and that you thought about it in a new way and really start to think about how these 3 different elements work together to create a brand that connects with people and converts people to be customers, because it builds trust and credibility in the marketplace, which is really what business is all about. Businesses need to have that trust and accountability, and also then deliver on what they say, so that you've got the loyalty piece that becomes what your business is all about. So it's really important that you work on the message, the personality, and the lifestyle to make sure that they're all good and full and with integrity. So if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to wait just a little bit longer because I can see that it's a little behind as I'm watching here on my other screen, which is why I turn over here. So if you guys don't have questions, I'll go ahead and sign us off. It's a little early. I wanted to give you guys plenty of time, like not take up your whole afternoon, so that you had time on to spend with your family and to relax, because Sunday is just a day that you need to relax before everything starts back up on Monday. So I'm glad that you guys have enjoyed the challenge. I'm glad that you guys participated. And if you have questions about the strategic branding brainstorm, we could even do a visual one if that's the part that you want work on. Just email me and we can work that out too. But again, I only have 5 spots open. So make sure that if you want one, you act quickly, because they will not be around forever. And even, I don't normally do these short 90-minute sessions. It's normally long or really short, like for discovery calls. So make sure that you claim your spot if you want one. And I will see you guys around the Purpose Driven Dreamer Society. Bye.